Hi there, and welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Anna, and I'm part of the education team. And this is Education Month. And we have a huge range of content available for the whole month of November and even into December. Lots of valuable content to choose from. So please make sure you check out some of our other webinars after you've listened to this one today. I will get Alice to pop a wee link in the chat box for us now for the Education Month webpage. Brilliant. Thanks, Alice. Now, we have got a competition running today where you can actually win a $200 gift card. And I will give you details on how to win that towards the end, so do stay tuned. But for the next 30 or 40 minutes, let's dive into how the Conversion Toolbox can help you convert your clients to Xero more efficiently. Now, before we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. I do have Alice here with me today, and she'll be sharing links and other information in the chat box as it comes up. And we do have the Q&A if you've got any questions, anything that you need clarified or would like some more information about. Now, Alice is here, but if we don't get to all of our questions today, because there is a few of us on the call, please raise a case with our support team. They are experts in what they do and would be more than happy to help. Now, we have also enabled closed captioning, so look out for the show captions button where you can turn on the subtitles. Now, the webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Education Month registration page within about 4 business days. So be sure to come back, visit the page again if you would like to see the recording. Right, into it we get. Our agenda. What we're covering today. We're going to look at the different ways of converting a client, and then we will do a live demo on how to use the Conversion Toolbox. And we're going to look at upgrading a ledger to a business edition plan, and we'll talk about the next steps after that. But let's just get started. So number 1, we have got fully automated conversion. So that's using a conversion service provider like Jet Convert or Move My Books or MMC Convert. And there is also some self-service apps that are available as well. It is certainly the easiest way to convert to Xero. And in some instances and in some regions, Xero does subsidize up to a certain amount. You do need to talk to the service provider directly to discuss their services and what their costs might be and what you can and can't do, because you won't have full control over the process. So you might not get much of a say in how your data comes across. Now, the second way is, of course, the manual conversion. Now, this does give you full control over the whole process, but it can be time consuming, and you need to, as most of you know, download the CSV file, clean it, review the data, use Xero's CSV templates to import it then back into Xero. And of course, the reason we're all here today is to talk about the Conversion Toolbox. Now, this semi-automates the process. It converts the data from your previous accounting software into a format that can be imported into Xero, so you're not having to deal with the Xero CSV template files. So you do the exporting and the mapping, but no template files. So a bit of a bonus there. Now, in the demo, we are going to convert a client to Xero using the Conversion Toolbox. So let's have a look at what our clients' requirements are going to be. So meet Steve. He is the owner of I'll Pack My Bags, and he has been using MYOB, and he wants to move to Xero from the beginning of last financial year. So his requirements, he wants to use the same chart of accounts as his current system, and he would like his 5-year trial balance. So he wants all 5 years of data in Xero, and he would like his outstanding invoices and bills entered into Xero as well. So that's not too bad. So we're going to use the Conversion Toolbox to bring his data quickly and efficiently across to Xero. So let's just jump across and actually do it. Right, we're in Xero. So I've actually already set up the trial org for I'll Pack My Bags, and we're going to start to use the Conversion Toolbox. And what I will do at this point is turn off my camera because I find myself quite distracting. I do talk a lot with my hands. I will come back to us after the demo, but for the meantime, I'll just flick my camera off so you can concentrate on what I'm doing, not what I'm looking like. Okay, so the log on for the conversion toolbox is actually separate from your login for Xero. To find it, we're going to you can either type in conversiontoolbox.xero.com into your address bar, or you can head to Xero Central. Now, because I am in Alpaca's trial organisation, I will use our question mark and search for the conversion toolbox this way. So if I just go to Xero Central from here, and we'll type it here, conversion toolbox. And that's going to bring up this, fantastic. And we'll go into our conversion toolbox explained. So there is lots of information in here. And we'll go down to our conversion toolbox login. Now, the first thing to note is that the login for the conversion toolbox is completely separate from your normal Xero login. And if you don't have one, you will need to create a new account by clicking the link at the bottom if it's your first time. So best practice, of course, to use the same login details that you do actually use to access Xero for your client files. Because if you choose a different email, you'll get prompted to log into Xero after setting up the conversion toolbox login. Now, I already have a login, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Now, the first time that you log in, you're going to be prompted to connect the toolbox to Xero, and you'll have to log in with your Xero login credentials. So we are ready to connect to Xero. And I have 2 connected organizations already, but I know that they're not the ones I want to connect to right now. So I need to select another organization. And there is Alpaca My Bags 2023. And we will connect that one. Now, handy to note that you will get a 30-minute access window. This is really just to ensure that data isn't imported into the wrong organization by mistake. Now, if you do happen to get timed out, you won't lose what you've done. You just log back in and pick up where you've left off. So let's connect to that one. And there is our dashboard. So the dashboard has been split into 2 sections. The top section is where you import the CSV files. So that's your conversion balances, your chart of accounts, your contacts, your invoices and bills. And the bottom section is where you convert the data from your client's previous accounting system. So you simply upload the file and the tool extracts all of the relevant CSV files so that you can then import the data into Xero. So I have already done the extraction for Alpaca My Bags out of its old system. So we're not going to deal with this bottom part of the dashboard today, but we are going to look at the top options. So if we have a look at the data options, we can probably decide which ones we might use for Steve based on his requirements. Actually, we could probably make it a quiz. Based on Steve's requirements, which I have only mentioned the once, we're going to see if we can figure out which 3 import data options we would choose for Alpaca My Bags. So let's just go through them and then I'll put the quiz up. So importing the conversion balances is going to help us bring over the trial balance and prior year balances. Importing the chart of accounts. This is really good if you have a client with a custom chart like Steve. You can import bank transactions and journals. This helps with transactional data for the time between your conversion date of the organisation and the date that the Xero bank feeds will start. You can import the historical balances for up to 5 years. So this allows for your yearly comparisons. The Conversion Toolbox actually brings them in as manual journals. Now, if you are importing historical balances, then you wouldn't import conversion balances. Now, this is because the conversion balance amounts would already be included in the historical balances. So if you do use this option, though, it is really important to set a lock date so that the conversion balance screen can't be saved, as that then reverses the journal. Now, you can import your invoices, bills, and payments. Now, fun fact, unlike importing directly into Xero, you can import your invoices and bills as approved or approved with payments applied. Now, importing invoices and bills with payments can save you time when you're converting clients who want their full historical data in Xero. You can import tax rates as well, which is really useful if you need to convert a client who operates a business offshore and has multiple tax rates. Now, we're not going to look at all of these today. We're only going to look at the 3 that we need for Alpaca My Bags, but we do have plenty of resources online, which I will show you later on as well. Also handy to know that you don't actually have to import everything using the toolbox. Now, we know that now that we know how it works, we'll start the conversion for Alpaca My Bags. But first, let's do that quiz and see if you have figured out which 3 we might be using today. Let me find my quiz and we will launch that. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. So I've listed all of the options and we're going to use 3 of the data import options. But which 3 are we going to use? People are straight into it. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Loving these answers. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that while I have a sip of my water. Brilliant. Keep those answers coming in. We've got roughly half of you have answered, so that's absolutely fantastic. So we are only going to choose, or we're only going to look at 3 of these options. And obviously you'll find it as we go through. Couple more seconds to do that before I end it. And if I end this, and let's share the results. Hopefully you can all see that on your screens. And I will also show you the correct answers. So we are going to import the chart of accounts. And we are going to import historical balances. Well done. And we're going to import invoices, bills, and payments. Well, actually, we're only going to import his invoices. So that's absolutely brilliant. So many of you got those answers correct. And let's just go and have a look at how we actually do this. So the Conversion Toolbox is a bit different to manually importing. If you were to manually import data, then you need to use Xero's template files, which require very specific formatting. Now, if you already have a customized chart of accounts template files that you already import across many of your clients, then you won't have to import your chart of accounts through the toolbox. You would just import it directly into Xero as you normally would. But if your client wants to use the same chart of accounts from the old system, or if you want to bring across a highly customized chart that is significantly different from your templates, then the quickest option would be to use the toolbox. So let's take a look at the chart that I want to import into Xero. Let's see if I can get my Excel up on screen for us. There it is. So we have got standard chart of accounts there. Now, in a normal import, I wouldn't be able to import this file because the tax rate header just doesn't match what Xero would accept. And also some of the data from within these columns might not match what Xero accepts either. But let's see what happens when we just use the toolbox. Let's go back to Rome and we will import the chart of accounts. And we'll just follow this through. So we will import chart of accounts and we'll map the report codes where they're available. And let's select our CSV file to upload. There's my chart of accounts and we'll open that. And let's start the conversion. Brilliant. Okay, so let's map the tax rates. We've actually got minimal mapping here, which is great. But if the chart that you are importing uses terminology that's quite different, you might have to map some more fields than we're mapping here. So we're just going to check them. Code is mapping to code, name is mapping to name, type is mapping to type. Tax rate has got no mapping, so we will map that to tax type. And description is mapping to description. So let's go next step. Perfect. And it's going to ask us to map our tax rates. If you were doing a manual conversion, tax rates in the file would need to match exactly what is already in Xero. But of course, with the toolbox, we don't have to do that. We can just map it here. So our sales tax on expenses is going to be 15% GST on expenses, income to income, and tax exempt to no GST. And we'll go next step. And we're going to map the account types. So every account in Xero requires an account type. And again, of course, when you're manually importing, those account types need to match exactly what is listed in Xero. But here we can see that the toolbox has actually got the mapping sorted. So even picking up direct expense and suggesting that we map it to direct cost, the conversion toolbox will attempt to map as many fields as possible. And of course, the more different the details are, the more fields you're probably going to have to map. We do, of course, recommend checking each line, so going line by line, just to make sure that the suggestions are what you expect them to be. So that all looks pretty spot on. Let's go next step. Right, we're going to map account codes. If you're using report templates in Xero, then you are going to be able to assign your accounts in the file to the appropriate report codes here. Now, we're not covering report templates today. That webinar is actually on the 7th of December, and it is called Get Efficient Reporting with Xero Report Templates. Let's actually, Alice, would you mind grabbing that link for the Education Month webpage and posting that again in our chat box? That would be very helpful. Now we can see that the conversion toolbox has actually mapped most of the report codes. Now, if you're not familiar with report codes, then it might actually be easier to map them here. Or alternately, if you are familiar, you'd like to update them in bulk at a later time, you can do that in Xero. You would just go to the advanced accounting menu in Xero and select report codes. But I will show you how to do one, and we'll just skip the rest of them because they're all looking pretty good. But R&M buildings. It is an expense, yes, but let's actually see if we can map that. There it is. I thought I saw that earlier. We have got a repairs and maintenance in there. So we will map that to repairs and maintenance. So happy with all of them. We'll scroll to the bottom and go next step. So here we are previewing what we've done, and you can drill into the details if you want. Now we've got 212 accounts that will be archived as they're no longer required. That might not be, in fact, that's going to be far too many. Let's just, this is Let's just previous step and have a check of our mapping. It all looks pretty good. Just going to go back through and we'll check everything again just to be sure. Our expenses are right. Our fixed assets look good. They're all mapping correctly. We'll just keep ticking back and making sure everything's right. Expenses, income, no GST, that is fine. Our code is our code, name is name, other income is type, tax rate is tax rate, tax type. Let's just, got the sneaking suspicion I might know actually. Let's just jump back into my Excel and we will do a file save just in case there's stuff in there that shouldn't be. And we'll go back into our conversion toolbox and start that again and see if it behaves better than that. Right, start the conversion again. We know it's going to be fine. Type, sales tax, let's change that to tax type. Brilliant, next step. Let's map our tax rates again. GST on expenses, on income, and tax exempt is no GST. Accounts payable as a liability, current asset, checking it all as we go. Brilliant, next step. Right, and we will again change our R&M buildings. We will put that report code mapping to repairs and maintenance and save that. Go to the next step and we'll preview. Fingers crossed. Still hasn't worked. It worked this morning. That's not helpful, but we will go ahead with our 27 accounts that have been created. And we need to tick that box to confirm that we understand this and we wish to proceed because we are connected to Alpaca My Bags and we're importing a new chart of accounts with only 27 accounts, but that's okay. And it can't be reversed. This could put us into trouble a little bit later on, but we'll see how we go. If we have to import another one, we will. Gosh, and around it goes. It's not enjoying this at all. And we will finish that. Right, so that is the chart of accounts in. Let's jump across to Alpaca My Bags and see what it has done with our chart of accounts. Close that tab and go into our accounting advanced menu and to our chart of accounts. And we can see that we have got some stuff in here. It's brilliant. Woo. So you will notice some padlocked accounts. Now, these are actually system accounts, and they're system accounts in Xero and can't be deleted. I know there are quite a few of them. We've got accounts receivable, accounts payable, sales tax or GST, and this does actually affect the import of the historical balances, which I will cover in the next section. Now, we are going to do historical balances, and of course, you should always import your chart of accounts first so that you can assign balances to those accounts. So if we go back to our conversion toolbox, and we will import historical balances. So to import historical balances, we do recommend that you use the trial balance file that has been exported from the previous software. So if I go back to my Excel, and we will open the trial balance for the last 5 years. Let's try that again. Oh, I know why it's doing that. Let's go and open that a different way. In fact, I won't even open it at all because you know what a trial balance looks like. Let's just go ahead and import it. So I'll switch back to our conversion toolbox. And I will just select the CSV file to import. And there's my trial balance. And I will open that. And it's uploading. Brilliant. Now, in the dashboard, you would have seen that you can import either a conversion balance or historical balances. Now, you can only choose one of those, not both. So what's the difference? Conversion balance will only bring in the opening balance for the year that you start using Xero for your client, whereas the historical balances, you'll get the previous year's comparative balances, depending on how many years balances you are importing. So for Alpaca My Bags, we're switching over in the 2023 year, and we're importing 5 years of balances. So our closing balance as at the end of 22 becomes our opening balance for 23. So let's start that conversion. We need to confirm that our end of financial year is the end of March, which it is for New Zealand. And we are importing our yearly balances. Confirm that. And then we need to map our suggested column headers. They all look pretty good. So we are checking, yes, they are all correct, and we'll go next step. Now, next step is to map the appropriate accounts in the file to the accounts in Xero. Now, because we have already imported our chart of accounts file, these have all mapped quite nicely. Now, we do need to map the retained earnings account. Now, if you have got multiple retained earnings accounts, you can map it to Xero's single retained system earnings account. Now, we've only got the one single retained earnings account in our CSV file, so that's absolutely fine how it is. Now, we just need to take a look and make sure that everything is correct and that it's mapped the way we want it to. Quick scroll. It looks like insurance has been mapped to rent. Let's update that to insurance. It always pays to check. Everything else is looking good. Brilliant. So we can go next step. Now, the system accounts that you saw earlier with the padlocks and the chart of accounts can't be coded to. So this file does actually have accounts receivable, payable, and bank accounts. So it is creating 3 holding accounts for us, you can see there. So what we'll need to do is transfer the system accounts, which I'll show you how to do in a little minute. But let's just go next step, where we can preview and save. Right, fantastic. So we've got 5 years of balances have been imported and our 3 holding accounts have been created. So let's finish that. Right, let's go and check in Alpaca My Bags and make sure that those balances have come across. So let's jump in and open a balance sheet, which is in our accounting menu and under advanced. And there it comes. Right, one balance sheet. Let's compare with the last 4 years and we will update that. And there's all my balances. Fantastic. Now, remember, of course, I mentioned those system accounts. We can't post manual journals to system accounts, but we do still need to transfer the balances from the accounts created to our system accounts. So this includes accounts receivable, payable, bank accounts, and sales tax, or our GST account. Now, the only account you can post journals to is the relevant sales tax account. In our case, it's the GST. So we'll start with transferring the GST amounts from the holding account to the system account. So if we scroll down to our liabilities, you can see we've got our sales tax, our holding sales tax account there. So what we need to do is leave the balance sheet and open a manual journal. So back to the top, and I'm going to open this in a new tab, and we'll jump into the advanced menu and into a manual journal. We're going to do a new journal, and you can see all the journals there for the imported historical balances. And let's go new journal. And I'm just going to copy and paste the narration so that you don't have to look at me type because it's rather painful. There's our narration. And the date we want is the 31st of March. And we'll tab through. Description will come down. We're going to debit our holding account and credit our sales tax account. So it's called sales tax holding. And the debit amount was $2,100. And tabbing through, let's credit our sales tax $820. Tab that and post. And if we now head back to our balance sheet and update that report, we can scroll down here and we can see that our holding account has been cleared and our sales tax has moved to our sales tax account. But now, of course, we've got two sales accounts balances on the report. Now, you can either create a manual journal for each year to transfer those balances to your system account, or you can just group the accounts together in the report so that they appear on the same line, which is super easy to do. So that's what I will do rather than doing all the journals. So we're going to edit the layout. And if we scroll down here to our, there they go, sales tax and holding. Now, if I'm holding my shift key down and selecting both of them so that I can group the selection. And I will call this sales tax. Now, with it looking like this, I am still going to see two lines on my balance sheet report. But if I roll them up, I will just see the one line for sales tax. So if we update that layout, there it is. Scrolling down to our liabilities, you can now see just the one line for sales tax. Now, you can save this report as a custom and actually save it as your default account as well, just so that you don't have to keep coming in and changing that. So let's actually do that. We'll make our custom report the default report, and we will save that. Too easy. Okay, so now that the amount for the sales tax account has been transferred, let's transfer the bank account balance into an actual bank account. Now, this is important, especially if you want to set up bank feeds for your clients, which I would absolutely recommend. Now, in order to use bank feeds, the account type needs to be bank rather than current asset. So to transfer the balance, we need to set up a bank account. So let's do that. We'll go to our dashboard and we're going to enter the details of that bank account so that we can set up the direct feed later. So let's add an account. And it is an ANZ account. And it is a business account, and we will go Alpaca Savings. It is a day-to-day account, and I will pop in some make-up account numbers and save and continue. Brilliant. Now back to the dashboard, and we will see that that account has been set up there. There's our Alpaca savings account. And if we go into it, in order to transfer that money, what we're going to do is create a new receive money transaction. So we're going to change that from spend money to receive money. And we are receiving the money from the ANZ on the 31st of the 3rd. And the description is going to be transfer it to the system bank account. I have one of those, and the amount was 3141,976. And we're going to code that to the ANZ savings. And we'll save that. Now, we also need to reconcile this transaction because it's sitting there as unreconciled at the moment. So to do this, we need to enable our mark as reconciled. Now, this is the only place that you'll find this particular little bit. It says enable as, or enable mark as reconciled. So that as standard, it's toggled off. So we'll toggle that to on. And now I have got another button. And if I tick that transaction and click on the more, we can now mark as reconciled. So that just forces the reconciliation. Happy to do that. Brilliant. So now we can see that that transaction has been reconciled. So we have transferred the money from the holding account to the system account. So we'll go back to our balance sheet, which I have come away from. So we'll run our balance sheet again. And we just want to make sure that that balance is now sitting against the new bank account rather than the old asset account. And there it is. We have got our Alpaca savings account under bank. Brilliant. Now, like the sales account, I have only transferred the balance for last year. The 4 prior years are still sitting here under our current assets. Now, if you want to show a single line for your comparative periods, you can do the same, edit the layout and group those two as a bank account to show a summarized total. If you'd like me to do that again, if you would like to see me do that again, just pop a yes, please in the Q&A, and I will go and edit that report again and show you how to put those two things together. Now we can, there we go, we've got a yes, please. Right, let's edit the layout. So what we need to do is put our Alpaca savings account and our ANZ savings account together. So I can move that just with a drag and drop. Hold down my shift key and select both of them. And we will group that selection and give it a name. We will call it ANZ savings. And we will tab and update the layout. Oh, first though, let's close that up because we only want to see the one line in the savings. Now, notice this little arrow here. It's actually a switch rule. And what that will do is move the negative. If the bank account is in a negative, it will actually move it from an asset to the current to the liabilities, which caught me out the first time I did this because I had balances disappear and then I remembered, I went, oh gosh, that's right, they'll be in the liabilities. They must have been negatives. So you'll see that when we update. Because I went, oh gosh, where did those balances go? And I, oh no, hang on a minute, I remember. They're down here. There they go. Balances are now liabilities because they were in negatives. Now we can also see here that we've got balances on creditors and debtors, and they need to be transferred to the system accounts as well. And this is actually going to be done when we bring across the invoices using the toolbox. So we'll go back to the toolbox and do just that. Let's bring across some invoices. I do still have the toolbox open. So this is the third thing we're doing for our pack of my bags, and we're going to bring across invoices. Now, this is going to increase the amount sitting in the system account for accounts receivable. As you know, there is already the amount sitting in the debtors. So this is essentially going to be a duplication. So how do we avoid this? Let's find out. So we'll click on Import Invoices, and we will upload a file to start the conversion. There's my invoices, CSV file, all uploaded, and let's start that conversion. We'll have some choices to make on the way. We are importing sales invoices. And this is where we can choose how we want them to come in. So we want them to come in as approved or approved with payment. Now, you can't bring your invoices in as approved if you're doing a manual import. Right, Xero has automatically mapped heaps of the fields for us. If we had manually imported this file, then we would definitely be getting errors. Some of the column headers are very different to what Xero will accept through manual imports. Now, you do need to ensure that the unit price or the unit amount in the exported file, so that's a file from the old accounting system, is tax exclusive. So you don't need to use the tax inclusive amount, as Xero will automatically add the tax. So we don't need to change any of that mapping, as it all looks to be correct. Just leave the total amount as it is. Brilliant. Now I'm just seeing a question in the Q&A, which is a great question, Susan. Thank you. Can we try out the conversion toolbox using the demo organization? The answer is I'm not sure, but you can do exactly what I've done today, which is start a trial organization. And you are allowed to have a free trial for 30 days. And there's no ghastly sales call at the end of it to force you to sign up to Xero if you don't want to. So you can start a trial organization and start your do a demo of your toolbox, conversion toolbox, start it all up, import some files, have a go at it. And then if it works out, you'll be away. Okay, we've done all that mapping. That's looking good. We can go next step. Let me just do a quick check before we do. That looks good. Right. Next step, and they're verifying. So here we have to sort the tax type. So we're just going to map the tax rates with what's in Xero. So the sales tax on income is going to be 15% GST on income. And we need to map the accounts. Now, this is a really important step because we have already imported our historical balances, and it does actually include milk income. Therefore, we don't want to import invoices coded to that milk income account. Therefore, we don't want to import invoices coded to that milk income account, as we're going to have a duplicate. Instead, we're going to map this to the debtors account. So we're going to go asset and debtors. Oh, Kirsten, yes, we are doing a 45-minute webinar, and I've just checked the time. We are at 2:46. So we are actually almost finished. Let's just finish up importing the invoices, and that's all that we're going to do today. So if you do need to go, Kirsten, I am sorry we've gone over time, but you can pop back in a few days and grab the recording if you'd like to catch up with the end of it. We are going to mark these transactions as reconciled and go next step. And let's finish this conversion. 4 invoices are going to be imported. And let's finish that. Brilliant. So that is done. So if we switch back to our balance sheet and update it, And we can see that those invoices have imported to accounts receivable. We do still have an amount in debtors, and that will be because of the sales tax. So you would do a journal to fix this. And it is because that the journal that was posted when we imported the invoices only credited debtors by the ex-GST amount, which was not enough to offset the total amount. So the rest was going to that sales tax account since we brought in the invoices with sales tax. So that means that not only are debtors overstated, but also the sales tax, since we have actually already accounted for the sales tax through the journals. So what you would do is do a journal to offset your duplicate sales tax from your invoice conversion, and you would debit sales tax, the $521.74, and credit your debtors for the same amount. And then when you run the balance sheet again, you'll find that the accounts receivable is correct and the debtors has disappeared. So that's invoices, and you would follow the exact procedure for your bills as well. So let's jump back to our slides because we're almost done. In summary, we have imported the chart of accounts. We have done 5 years worth of historical balances. Oh, I can put my camera back on and say hi. And we have imported some outstanding invoices. So the great thing about the Conversion Toolbox is that you are not limited to using the Conversion Toolbox for converting clients that are brand new. You can also use it to help set up your existing ledger clients that want to upgrade to a business edition plan. So you just take the same steps that I've taken for this demonstration, set up a bank account, enter or receive money to bring the money in from the current asset holding account to the actual bank account, and you would import your unpaid invoices and bills, and you would code to the relevant debtor and creditor accounts. And then, of course, adjusting for any discrepancies like we saw with the invoice import we just did. So what it does mean, of course, is that you don't need to go through the whole process of setting up a brand new organisation, entering comparative balances, and posting all those other journals. So if you are ready to start moving clients across to a business edition plan, here's what you need to do next. Oh, we say on this page, actually, we just need to set up a trial organisation for your clients and sign up for the Conversion Toolbox. Super easy. Now, before I close off, I thought I'd show you some additional partner resources. Now, if you haven't accessed partner resources page before, then you can access it. If you go into Xero and click on your question mark icon and just type in partner resource and do a search. And this will open up a partner resource article. In fact, let's just go and have a quick look at it. Let's see if I can, how fast I can jump in, because we are well past time. Let's just go in here. See, I told you my typing was awful. Partner resources. Let's have a quick look. So yeah, you're going to have lots of things in here. So we have got how to set up and convert, how to view invoices, reporting tools, all sorts of really helpful stuff there for you. It does also, of course, give you a link to the Conversion Toolbox. Right. Of course, if you do find that you need further information about the toolbox, there is a ton of information also in Xero Central. You just have to type in Conversion Toolbox into that search bar, and it's going to bring you up an absolute heap of articles all about it. Now, if you did like today's webinar, I hope you did, be sure to check out our education page. We did share a link earlier on, and I will get Alice to share it again if she wouldn't mind. You can, of course, access this webinar and others via recording by scanning the QR code that is on the screen. It takes you back to the same page, and if there's a recording available, you'll be able to have a watch. Now, I did mention at the start that we're running a competition for customers joining from Australia or New Zealand. All you need to do is complete the survey, and you will be in the chance to win a $200 Prezi card. So access the survey either by scanning the QR code on screen or by clicking the link that Alice has just shared it in the chat box for us. There's also a link there to the terms and conditions. So of course, please read them. Now I was going to keep the webinar running for questions, but we don't have any. So I will actually just close us out for the afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. I really do enjoy the Conversion Toolbox, and it's been great to give you guys a closer look. I do hope you found this helpful, and I hope to see you all on another webinar soon. Thank you all so much.